information provided in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Viewers should use their own discretion and consult with a healthcare professional for personalized guidance and recommendations. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, and we are extremely excited that you are here with us today. And no matter which way you're tuning in, we're so glad that you're here. Our show is all about having the important conversations that are engaging. We're elevating health and wellness. It's not just a physical space. And then we're also empowering transformation. And real quickly, no matter which way you're tuning in from, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And we have important show notes at the bottom of the screen for your reference guide. If you are tuning in live through LinkedIn, just realize that we are unable to see to engage with your comments until the end of broadcast, but we certainly appreciate you being here. And let's get into it. This time of year, as we are rolling, we know that this is something that as we are executing our year, it's time to make sure that we're optimizing our health and doing all things to live our best life. And because of that, I have got to introduce my next guest to you. She is the embodiment of that. Before that, let's take a look at this video clip. Let's learn a little about her. Meet Atousa Raissyan, a best-selling author, a poet, and a digital artist. Her passion is to illuminate the paths of others, to guide them towards releasing their traumas, and to rewrite the stories of their lives from fear to love. She is recognized as a shaman, a transformational heart-centered healer, a spiritual guide, and a motivational speaker. But she's so much more than titles. For years, Atousa has been a beacon of light, helping countless souls discover their inner truths and experience the peace and harmony they've always longed for. She wrote the book, Change Yourself, Change the World. And today, she's here to share her wisdom, her gifts, and her powerful message of transformation with all of us. Please welcome Atousa Raissyan to the show. Atousa, how are you today?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm super excited.
Let's get right into it. You certainly wear a lot of different hats, and I'm impressed with all that you bring to the table. Tell us a little bit about your journey, because obviously there's those transformational points along the way where we step into our new light. So share a little bit about where your humble beginnings lie.
Thank you. I started out in Iran, in Tehran, Iran. I was born there. And my parents were divorced when I was really young. And the journey sort of started there, and all the anxiety right there because they got divorced. Then we had the revolution in Iran. We had the war in Iran. And around age 11 is when I migrated to US. And again, you see all these changes. And when change comes, all we want to do is like grab control. We want things to stay steady. And that's what I decided. It's like, I need to find something steady in my life. And that was education, to get my degree and start working as fast as I could. So I speed up my education process and became an engineer. And at some point, universe just said, we're going to stop all that because you're not meant to be doing this work. And the beginning of that change was when I got a divorce, and I went through that whole process of separation and divorce. And then my job, I couldn't do my job, and that was another change. And I wanted to get other work, couldn't do that. And then I found myself doing what I was meant to do and what I love to do and have a passion to do, which is my art and my healing practice. And that brought me into the other titles, like the author and everything else that you see.
You mentioned something that I didn't know before, but it's fascinating to talk about. So you stepped into the role of engineer as you were getting your degree. Now, say a little bit more about that. Did you feel pressure being here in the United States from Iran to just make a good life for yourself? Was it something that you felt like did you have the encouragement from your family to pursue, or did you feel like, well, I have to make sure that I secure my future and all of the things that come with that?
It was, Iranians were known for pushing the kids to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. I mean, that like is a joke. Everybody knows that. But for me, it was how can I get out of school fast enough and make money fast enough? And I went through like a list of, again, law I couldn't do fast. Being a doctor, I couldn't do fast. And again, out of the other jobs were left, the only one that I knew I could finish fast enough and I could make money and I was good at was engineering. So that's how I ended up as an engineer. I got my bachelor's when I was 19, and then I went ahead and got my master's in engineering as well, electrical engineering.
That's pretty fast. I remember getting my degree and I did not get it at age 19. So that was pretty impressive. Did you find that it was that you were creating breakthrough after breakthrough back then? Did you know that you were able to accomplish all that you started to do as you were getting your degree?
Honestly, no. I was so motivated by my fear and the fact that I really needed to get control of my life. That was my only motivation. And I don't know how I did it. I know I was taking classes in summer. I was taking, the normal load was, I think, 13 credit hours, and I was taking like 17, and sometimes I even went as high as 21 credits. So it was just, that was my motivation. I wanted to get out and get a job and get moving as fast as I could.
So I know that some of our viewers are women who are forging their own paths and doing all they can to secure their future. At what point did you realize you needed to turn things into a different direction, that this role was no longer serving you in what you wanted to do?
It's funny. I like that question because when I was an engineer, I was really good at it, and I was sought after. It wasn't something like I was mediocre. I was really good at my job, but I always inside, it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel good. It felt forced, and I was not getting any joy out of the work I was doing. And so on the side, I was always pursuing my spiritual studies path, whatever you want to call it, through the poems I was reading. I loved Rumi. He is my biggest inspiration. So that kind of poem and everything else. And so on the side, as I was doing these things, when it came down to, I was working, and like I said, I was married to a abusive person, and my divorce process started. I got to a point that I said, okay, I can't do this. I need to separate. So that was like the first step of the change. And going through that process, then the work I was doing, I couldn't do it anymore. I would just, it's hard to explain to people that something that you've done for years, all of a sudden you're looking at your computer, you're staring at documents, and you can't read it. You can't type anything. You can't formulate sentences. And I had to take a leave. And that leave got me to start thinking about, okay, what is it that I really want to do? Again, fear kicked in and said, well, this is the only thing you've done for years. You got to go do this. And universe had something else in mind for me. And as I started, I sent out resumes, and after resume, changed it. I couldn't get another job. I even changed it to doing like staff admin position. Didn't get it those. So overqualified, underqualified. And then suddenly I found myself, I was like, okay, let's stop everything. Everything needs to stop. And that was the beginning. I started with my artwork. And through that process, people encouraged me. It's like, okay, this is good. Put that out there. And then, again, I got encouraged. You've been helping people. You have a certification in energy healing. Why don't you use that? And then as soon as I started this practice, it sort of everything started rolling and everything started to feel good. And the more I got into it, the more expansion, transformation, and all that, it just happened really naturally. And the movement happened naturally.
So I'm curious that there came a point from what you're saying that, you could no longer do the work that you were doing. Was your gut feeling kicking in for a while, or was it suddenly something that you felt inside and that you were tuning into? In other words, I'm wondering if your gut feeling was talking to you for some time, or did it happen and you noticed it and you took action quickly? What was that like for you?
Gut feeling definitely was there, but like those kids that they don't want to hear and they go la 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 la. That's exactly how I was with my gut feeling. I was like, I know what you're saying, but it's too scary. I don't want to listen to you. So I kept moving away from it and not wanting to listen. But again, I said you cannot. When it's something's meant to be, no matter how hard you try, you're just gonna find yourself in that space, and that's how I ended up there. And yeah, I was forced to listen to my gut. That's a better way to say it.
That's fantastic. So with art, did you know that how did art come into place? So was it something that you were using to help diffuse maybe pressures that were going on at the time, or have you always been drawn to what art can do and what it represents?
Art as a kid, I loved art, but especially growing up in Iran, it's not something it's something you do for fun. It's not something you pursue. You're not encouraged to go pursue being an artist. So I was never actually encouraged to do anything with it. And, unfortunately, when any of the kids, I feel even to this day, a lot of times you're not encouraged to even like your art is good. We just keep telling them like art has to be this, art has to be that. So I really put it aside. I didn't take any classes. I didn't pursue it. And during that whole divorce process, I had canvases and pastels and all these art stuff that was in my closet from somebody else even. And suddenly I took it out and I just said, it just feels good. It was something so natural. It just came as like, I need an outlet right now. And I knew it needs to be something creative. And the good thing was I really didn't care what it looked like. I just wanted to just get whatever was going on inside and out into something. And that creative process just started like that with the art.
So did you trust the process when that was happening that led you to open your own doors with what you're doing today, or did you have a mentor or a guide? What was that like for you at that time?
The art was just flowing, and the only mentor for my art was Rumi. I would just sit there, read Rumi poems. I meditated, and the sort of those downloads that you get during those meditation times, they were coming out, and I was trying to get them onto paper. And I noticed that even with the canvas, I couldn't use really what I was inside on that. That's how I switched to digital art. Is I started taking pictures and to put them on a website, and then I went and learned Photoshop in order to clean up those images. And that process of, oh wow, look at all these things Photoshop can do, and then suddenly it's like again a natural flow that I could do all these things that I wanted with my art. And that's how I started the digital process. But definitely a healing process. And I know for a lot of people out there, any creative outlet can be a healing modality for us.
What do we need to know about art that the general society doesn't realize, or maybe they don't understand about it?
Art has to be, there's energy to every art. And for me, it's sort of getting whatever was happening inside onto the canvas. So I wasn't doing it for, is it going to look good in somebody's house? Is somebody, when they look at it, are they going to like it? It was really a personal journey and getting, again, that information, those messages out on there. So if you're pursuing art and you want to put it out there, and you don't even have to put it out there, even if you're doing it for yourself, because a lot of times people ask me, like, for your art, so, you know, are you gonna do this? Are you gonna, I said, my art is for me. Even if nobody buys it, I am still going to produce art because I'm doing it for me. It's a process for me. So let it be like that. Let it be something for you, whether other people like it, don't like it. Again, any kind of visual art, any kind of cooking can be art, music is art, writing is art. There's just so many things. Landscape design is art. Whatever you do out there that gets your creative juices flowing, let it flow out and do it just for your own pleasure.
So I find that it's fascinating that you've really delved into this. Have you sold your artwork? Have you been on any type of tours? Have you had like a gallery? What was your future looking like when you were on that path, or as you're on that path?
When I started as an artist, very shortly after, I put there's a restaurant here that at that point, I think they still do it. I don't know with COVID what happened, but at that point anyway, you could have your artwork in the restaurant and set it up for sale. And to this day, I'm like surprised at myself that I just said, okay, you know, here I am, no art background, no art degree, nothing. And suddenly I put all my artwork out there for everyone to see. But that's what I needed, and it started from there. So I've had a lot of exhibitions. My artwork's at Washington Children National in Washington, so some of my artwork's there. Right now, actually, I have an exhibition with some of amazing artists is in Venn in Embassy Row. And yeah, people have bought my artwork, but interesting enough, nobody buys my artwork saying, oh, it's going to look good in my house. They connect to a piece, the information on there, and they just say, I have to have this. There's something about this that I need it.
Have you found that many women have come up to you and explained some of their stories with connecting with your art? What have those dialogues been like for you?
With the artwork, not just women, actually, men as well. And they get a message because, again, all the artwork comes with an inspirational message. It's either my own poetry, my own quotes, or again, Rumi. And so they sort of see themselves in that process of healing in there, or what their journey has been. They might see it in the artwork and they come and explain it. It's like, or sometimes even the vision, they're like, oh, I had a vision similar to this and I couldn't, this is just exactly what I saw in my download. So yeah, a lot of those things, definitely.
I love that. And I feel like nowadays we're delving back into how important the arts are, especially with different ways to cope with mental health and with just managing stress and having an outlet like you mentioned. And it seems like there's more importance behind it now than ever before. And I would imagine that you would agree with that. Yes.
Yes, for sure. Art therapy, you know, is one of the biggest things now that therapists use, even with kids, especially with kids. It's an easy way to communicate with them and let them get their emotions out, for sure. Yeah.
Right. So we've got so much to talk about, including your book. But first, we're going to take a commercial break. We will be right back after this. We're back here on the Health Revolution, spending some quality time with my guest today, Atousa Raissyan. She's a shaman, she's a transformational coach, spiritual guide, best-selling author. And I want to switch gears. You've shared a little bit about your personal journey with how you are now into these professional roles. I know we talked about you delving into the world of creative arts. Talk to us a little bit about how you became a shaman and what led to that, and you becoming a transformational coach.
So I started out as a healer. Energy healing was the first modality I started with. And I realized that throughout all these years, all those things that had happened, that I was finding my way to releasing and healing those traumas that happened, those triggers that I had. All of it was sort of my training ground. And I had developed all these tools that I didn't even realize that I was doing. And so then I started using those modalities in my work. And part of it was, understanding that a lot of those tools were shamanic healing tools. After I started working with a shaman, and anytime I got a new way of his, in the training as I was going through, it's like, well, I'm already doing that. I'm doing something similar to that. And realizing that everything that I always needed or wanted, I was guided to it, and I had it even before a title was put on it. So, and then soon after, I added more, guidance sessions instead of actually diving deep into things. So all my modalities came together into this one practice where I help people go back in those past traumas, whether it was this lifetime or it was passed down generationally to them, to find ways to heal those past traumas, to find a way to release and reprogram their triggers that they have. That's basically running the show right now, and they're not realizing, and they're just reacting to different things at the same time. And then, of course, my book.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. I'm curious with the trauma and the healing. How does one know that this would be something that is beneficial to them? How does somebody know that they've got trauma and they've got healing to do with that? Aside from, say, something catastrophic happening or something that is, perhaps a huge setback in their lives. How would this be a guidance for them?
Anytime you are feeling triggered, first of all, meaning like you notice throughout the day you're just running on anxiety or fears, or there's like emotions that keep coming up, sadness, anger, all those things that are, and you're reacting to other people, blaming other people, all of those things are indicators that you're carrying something from the past, or a certain behavior that it's like these personalities and personas that have been developed over the years. And those are I call them like your little characters in your movie that are interacting with the events in your life. So that should be.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be something catastrophic then. It could
Oh,
be
no.
if you're feeling, if a person is feeling like every single time is a knee-jerk response that, and you mentioned the triggering, what would help to create that breakthrough of recognizing this is an issue and then taking action. Because I'm curious to see if you've ever worked with someone who just doesn't realize that they're being triggered as much as they are, or like, how does one recognize that?
For me, I guess I've been fortunate because by the time they come to me, they've either tried different things and it hasn't worked, and they know they're just not feeling good. Even like the people that have come to me, they've been on medication. They're like, the medication is not working. I'm still feeling this way. So to me is, if you are in any shape or form unhappy with your life, meaning it's not going the way you imagine or the way you want it, your relationships, nothing is satisfying you, nothing is bringing you joy, that should be an indicator that there is something you're holding on to, something you're not seeing about yourself that you need to dive deep. And you don't need me. You just be willing to go inside and sit with yourself, those uncomfortable parts. You're going to get your answers. You're going to get the direction of where you need to go and where you need to be.
So amongst the roles that you have, I have your book here. It's called Change Yourself, Change the World. And tell us a little bit about your book and how you came to write this.
About 2 years ago, after I had done a multi-author book, I noticed like I have actually a lot more that I wanted to share. And part of it also was that I see how much my clients, when they come and sit in my chair, in my studio, and they're doing the work with me, from the day they start to when we finish, the transformation is just amazing. I mean, they even look different. You know, their families, their friends, everybody gives them compliments or notices how different they are. So I wanted to find a way to get those tools that I use in my sessions, some of those tools out there for other people to start making that journey, making those changes, because the more you change, one person changes, all those people around you start changing, and that ripple effect is what I wanted to achieve with this book. And luckily, I think I've achieved it. It became #1 bestseller on Amazon in different categories, and it was there for, I think, several weeks. And also, I recently won some awards, 2 first place awards and 1 second place award for the book as well.
That's congratulations. These are some
Thank you.
incredible accomplishments. I do have this tendency that whenever we've had an author on the show, I love to poke around in the book that's being highlighted, and yours is no different. I think, first of all, your book is incredible. In chapter 7, you talk about love and gratitude, and I just want to read this for the viewers to get a little taste of your writings. You write here, resisting and controlling life made me blind and mute. Feeling life has forsaken me. Resistance has broken upon. Light is shining through, revealing my truth. I have received all I ever wanted. Free at last, my heart is singing. I am life. I hear it. I feel it. I dance to it. What an incredible, I love the simplicity yet the powerfulness of your poem. Talk a little bit more about your inspiration behind this and your take on love and gratitude and where we need to go as society.
That is actually inspiration for one of my artworks. So, and that's how like I said, you know, I get downloads, the information comes, or somehow the words and the artwork come together. So that's associated with one of my artwork. And it truly is the message of love and gratitude, realizing that, you know, when you talk to people and you talk about gratitude, everybody can say, oh, I'm so grateful for my family. I'm so grateful for my house. You know, like all the big things. I'm so grateful for my health. And they miss all those little things that are happening every moment, every day, every opportunity just around them. There's so much gratitude that they can have for little things, big things, the air. And this chapter specifically opens them up to realizing all those beautiful, magical moments that are around them, that they can feel it and be grateful for all of it. And with love, same thing. I think most people can easily say they love their kids, they love their pets, maybe even they love their partners. You know, some will say yeah, some people say oh, but this love is an unconditional love that once you have to find inside yourself, and once you find that inside yourself, then you can easily express it and let it flow outward into everything you do, into your life and the people that come in there.
What do you think is the biggest obstacle that some people struggle with that you've seen in your practice, where the love and gratitude is more of a challenge, that connection is just not as easily recognized? What's been the hiccup? What's been the obstacle for what you've seen?
Great question. The for love specifically is loving themselves. They are humans. We tend to have all these spots that we don't want to look at, we want to hide, and sometimes we're even fearful, God forbid anybody finds out about this that I'm hiding inside of me. So all those things that you're hiding and you don't want to look at makes it harder for you to love yourself. But if you even bring those things out, just like I say, you know, if you have a mole on your hand or you have a cut on your finger, you don't shy away from it, or you're cut off your hand or hide your hand. You embrace it, you accept it, you bring it in. And that is the start of loving yourself. So the biggest obstacle for love would be loving yourself. And gratitude, again, we get so wrapped up into daily life challenges, and we've gotten so used to things being so automatic that we don't pause and take time to really enjoy all those little things that's always around us. I mean, like, I get up, I'm grateful for my bed, I'm grateful for my pillow, I'm grateful for the window, that I can see a nice view, or the bird that comes next to my window. I'm grateful for that. All these different opportunities to be grateful for living, basically. It's not just a gratitude for things you have, but it's more of a gratitude for living this life, all of it.
When you work with others in the role of transformational coach and spiritual guide, what are some elements that allow you to connect with those who are really, really struggling? That maybe it's a little bit more of that their journey has had some major difficulty. What are some elements that allow you to guide others, that just allow you to transcend in what you do?
Um, the biggest, I think, thing that happens when my clients come into my studio is that, first of all, they trust me. Somehow they let go and they trust. They walk in here, and a lot of times by just sitting in my chair, they start crying. And that tells me, that vulnerability of trust is there and they're open. And I truly see them without any kind of judgment. And that unconditional love that I was talking about is something I give to everybody that comes into the studio, even outside my studio. But as soon as they come in, that unconditional love that they're receiving allows that trust and everything come together. And I'm able to see them, even those parts that they're trying to hide for no one to see. I see it. And when I bring that to their attention and they see that I see them, that sort of gives them the comfort that this is the space for me to work on these things. This is the time and space for it.
What would you tell our viewers? Maybe someone is watching that is going through a really tough time, that maybe that they're navigating through their own trauma in their lives, and they just don't know where to start to come up for air to begin to change things. What are some best practices to get the ball rolling in a direction that really, really prioritizes self-care?
First of all, no, help is always there. You are receiving help, and it's not just help that, you got a therapist or a coach or a healer or whatever. Help, universe, life is always giving you that help and support. embrace it when it comes to you, because it can be just a smile somebody gives you, or somebody just comes and looks at you, say, you know, I hope you have a nice day, and it affects you. So just be open that help is around the corner and always there. And the next thing that it really is important as you're going through these processes, connecting with nature. Nature is our biggest healing source. And one of the best grounding exercises that I tell people is, if you can, even if it is for a couple of minutes, take your shoes, socks off, just go stand in grass, pile of dirt, whatever it is, and just feel that. And you see it immediately. It's as if everything is like draining out of you. Connecting, you know, going for walks in nature, not, you know, as an exercise, or, you know, having your headphones or talking to someone, but just for the purpose of, I'm going to connect with nature, the trees, the water, the birds, whatever's out there. And you'll see, the more you do it, the better you feel.
You know, I have to echo what you're saying, because I know that for me, for someone who loves horseback riding and then just hiking, that's something that instantly, when myself or myself and my husband have done together, it's been instantly, I feel like the stress just melts away from the shoulders, and I feel better extremely quick. And it's a pleasant surprise, because I forget how calming that is. And it just, we don't do it enough, do we? We don't do it enough in society, do we?
No, we don't. And I think, again, part of it is because we try to compact everything. If I'm going for a walk, it has to be an exercise. It's not for enjoyment. You know, I need to power walk, and I need to do it at a certain time in a certain way, rather than, this is something I'm just going to do to enjoy. And you mentioned horses. I mean, like, so magical, and they are really amazing for you to feel better. For anybody that wants that feeling of, you know, you don't even have to ride them, just go to a stable and be around them, you are going to feel amazing.
I'm surprised how just how magnificent horses are. I think that
Yeah.
they just, and they're a huge representation of nature. I know one thing that I had discovered not long ago was that horses, you know, you have to have a level of connection, because they pick up on everything. So if you're off, they'll be reacting. The response that you get is based on the energy that's given off. And so nature is quite the incredible element that we just don't tap into enough. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. I agree. And it's free. You know, everybody's like, well, you know, I don't have money for this. This is free. Go out there. It's free.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. I'm positive. Even if you live in a city, there is a park close to you.
That's
Go sit next to a tree.
That's true. Got to take action. We're going to take a commercial break. We will be right back after this. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching The Health Revolution. Our show is growing, and it's all thanks to viewers like you. No matter how you found us, please hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue to deliver amazing content to you.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be. especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
Share this with your friends and family and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. We are spending incredible time with Atousa Raissyan, and we've been diving into her book, Change Yourself, Change the World. I do want to read another excerpt here from chapter 10, and just because it is a direct, it is relevant to the theme of our show. It says here, the body is amazing at healing and releasing naturally. Over the years, the program responses have changed from the original program. The good news is that you can reset it, but we must get out of the way. How do you do that? By trusting yourself, your heart, and your body. The trust allows you to let go of control, listen, and allow. Your task becomes to only witness and allow. The body does the rest. And being all things health and wellness and that comprehensive approach to life. Share a little bit more about your words that I just read in chapter 10.
So just to give a little story for that one, it's not one of the reasons I had that in the book is that as soon as I was getting close to 50 mark, everything in my social media was about menopause, hot flashes, you're going to have a belly, you're going to lose your hair. It was all these things. I'm like, what is going on? And I noticed, I was like, if I was the type of person that wasn't connected to my body and I wasn't listening to my body and I was allowing those fears to come in, right now I would be running out there, getting all these things that they're telling me. And I really wanted to tell people, don't buy into it. Because just because you're getting to be a certain age does not mean that you are 100% you're going to have hot flashes, does not mean you're going to get a menopause. I'm here to tell you I am almost 52 in a little couple more weeks and no menopause belly, no hot flashes. And I've actually, my weight and body has been the best has ever been. So, and all it takes is you listening to your body, connecting with your body. And when you do that, your body's going to tell you the food it needs, how much to eat, when to eat, what type of food to eat. And, and it tells you, hey, you're full, don't eat anymore even. So all those things, if you listen, even with exercise, if you listen to it, it tells you what you need, when it's time to exercise, when it's time to rest, because all that, a lot of people don't realize the weight gain comes from the stress they're putting on their body, not eating enough, actually, not eating the right kind of food. All of that is actually getting them to have the weight gain, to not have the good skin that they want because they're not listening. They're not connected to their bodies.
I love that. And I appreciate you for saying all of that because we are in a space where we're evolving with the information that's out there, especially with us women that are entering. I'm 50 and I'm proud to say that I'm 50. And I got to agree with you that without that connection to the body, it becomes very challenging to continue to live an optimal life simply because of that disconnect. If we're not eating, if we're not edifying the self-care, then we're setting ourselves up for a huge uphill battle, just to say the least. And I do agree with you that a lot of the symptoms that are out there are things that we can do to curtail some of those symptoms if they're happening, outside of any deep internal hormonal changes that that we may not be able to detect. But I'm so glad that you said that. Tell me how, as you're transitioning into the new year, what are some things that you see when it comes to women and our roles as we're trailblazing our own lives? And what are some ways that you help to support women with the programs that you have that allow you to really help them live as best of a life as possible?
One of the main things I think is women, we have gone through generationally, taking it back many, many, many generations, is that we sort of have lost that place of where we think we need to be, we should be. And internally, we've lost that balance inside. And that's part of the hormonal changes that you see is related to that as well, because regardless of our genders, we have male energy and female energy in all of us. And having that balance between those energies is how we get to that optimal place. Now, again, what has happened is that because of fears, because of things that have happened, females have elevated more their masculine energy more than their feminine energy. They've nurtured that because they needed to be stronger. They needed to be out there fighting alongside men and proving themselves. But now I think it's time that they come back into their bodies and realizing that they can achieve, that they have the strength, they have the knowledge, and love and compassion, kindness, those female energies are really important at this time in our lives. So finding that balance between the masculine and the feminine energy is really important at this time.
Are you only in person, or are you also in the virtual space?
Virtual space for sure, thanks to COVID. I was a little bit, I was doing the virtual, but then, when COVID hit, it was all virtual. And now a lot of people, I have clients that don't even live in my area. They live overseas and I see them through Zoom.
That's fantastic. So what do you have coming up as we're entering 2024? What is happening in 2024 for you?
A lot of exciting stuff. The major exciting thing is that I have a retreat coming in March, end of March in Tulum, Mexico. It's going to be a fantastic retreat. I know it already because the location I picked out is such a magical location. The hotel itself, it's a small hotel. It has a cenote in there. So that's going to be amazing. And I have some little projects happening as well. There's a multi-author book coming out that I'm actually helping other people publish it. So a lot of good stuff coming in 2024. I'm excited.
That's fantastic. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back after this.
This is Madeline Blair, the host of Unlocked, where we open possibilities for when the unexpected happens. Join me Thursdays at noon and again at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Business Network, right here on E360 TV.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison. Some quality time. Our guest today, Atousa Raissyan, and she wears a whole lot of hats and is helping to transform others' lives. Atousa, where can viewers find you?
Best place on my website, which is my first name, last name.com, atousaraissyan.com. It has all my social media links, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So any of those, find me, search my name. And I'm happy to get in touch with you. You know, if you just want to share, you watch this show and you want to give me some feedback, say hi, go for it.
What about on social media? What are your handles? Where can we find you?
On Instagram is Atousa R. So my first name, first letter of my last name. And also the other social media handles is Soulistic, SOULYSTIC. That's on Facebook and Instagram as well. So, and LinkedIn, I think it's just my name. If you search my name, you should be able to find me.
And your retreat that you talked about that's going to be happening in March, how long is that retreat for? And I'm assuming that that information is on your website.
Yes, it's on my website under services. Thank you for that. And it is 5 nights, 6 days, all inclusive. It's going to have 2 amazing excursions in there as well. So all food, everything is covered.
And your book, of course, is called Change Yourself, Change the World. I have a copy in my hands, and it just guidance and tools for you to shift from fear to love. Atousa, this has been an incredible time that we've spent together. And obviously, you know what you're speaking about. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I was really happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes. And for all of our viewers who are tuning in, of course, you can feel free to hit the subscribe button that you see at the whichever channel that you've tuned in. And we're also on the web. So thehealthrevolutiontv.com is our website. You can always subscribe to our newsletter where we will be keeping you up to date with new information. Any show ideas, topics, things that you'd like for us to have covered, we would love to hear from you. So keep that in mind. Also, don't forget that we are on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Achieve TV channel on E360 TV. And for all of you who've tuned in, thank you so much for your time and leaning into all of this. Atousa, thank you for being here. And until next time, we will see you soon. Take care.